Brilliant. Talking. I can understand that point. There's quite a lot of this about wrestling.
I didn't like it as a format.
So when I was even talking
See, I've never had it. I've never had understanding how that's syncing me out, and I kind of get it's a bit like Father Christmas. I really like her, but still want to
Hello, we are remote. We're here to help you be more like people like you. We're here to help you make the future of Exeter. We're here to offer you choice. You should all have a car to hand. When you next hear this sound, please raise your car to enter the system. Otherwise, sit tight. A majority of you enter the system. Thank you for being here. We will soon get to the fun. We are here in a theatre where people gather to reflect and also enjoy the latest that creativity has to offer. We are also here in a university where people gather to learn and also be stimulated by new perspectives. We are in a university theatre, Studio TS1. Our system is the very latest technology, but here taking a more homespun guise. We know that you like your technology to be approachable. We hope that our system fits in with what you expect of Studio TS1. Let's run through how you make choices in the system. When you hear this choice sound, then make your choice. To choose the first option, you need only raise your card. To choose the second option, you need do nothing. If you do not raise your card, it is always the second option. We then process the consequences of your choice. Let's take this for a spin. Do you understand how to make a basic choice? Raise your card for yes, otherwise no. Thank you. Do you like being able to make choice? Raise your card for yes, otherwise no. Thank you, that's most interesting. You're here today in Exeter. As well as the university and Studio TS1, Exeter is notable for a cathedral dating back to 1050, the underground passages, the Firehouse pub and its late night pizza, and a rail bridge east through the floodlands to the central heart plains. Do you live here in Exeter, or are you just passing through? Raise your card for live here, otherwise passing through. You are transient. Your operator today is Tassos, operating solo. He has a soft northern accent, a generally courteous manner, and a willingness to think outside the box, but not too far. He also has a heavy head cold and a slightly huskier voice than normal. How would you rate Tassos so far as your operator? Raise your card for 4-star, otherwise 3-star. Tassos is grateful for the opportunity to demonstrate that he's truly 4-star. You can imagine Tassos is here in Studio TS1, but Tassos is in the operator centre thousands of miles away, either Dunfermline or Dubai. He's not quite sure. The view's the same out of the window. But through the power of our technology, you can imagine Tassos present here. It's as if he can see you, hear you, respond to you if you are interesting. If you tickle him, will he not laugh? But really, we are remote. Let's meet her. You are all playing her. She is people like you, passing through Exeter. We are here to help you be more like people like you. Please close your eyes. You breathe in deeply and breathe out in your own time. Please continue to breathe without my instruction. This is not a choice. You are 5 years old. You're hungry. Your mammy places a biscuit on each plate as she sets the table for dinner. When she leaves the room, do you eat a biscuit? Raise the card to wait until dinner, otherwise to eat the biscuit. Thank you. Tuning 20% complete. Please keep your eyes closed. You want to buy tomatoes. You can go to your friendly delicatessen, where the tomatoes are organic, locally provenance but rather expensive. Or you can go to the no-frills supermarkets and get an okay tomato quite cheaply. Raise the card for the delicatessen, otherwise okay tomato. Thank you. Tuning 40% complete. Please keep your eyes closed. Consider the phone of your dreams. Is your dream phone personalised to you with a screensaver and wallpaper you've chosen, even a ringtone? Or would you rather a phone a little more anonymous and a little bit more useful? Raise the card for a personal dream phone, otherwise utilitarian. Thank you. Tuning 60% complete. She wakes up. Or is she still dreaming? She opens her eyes. She's in a box. It's always been a box. But today it starts to feel a little different. Today it starts to feel like home. Which inspires you more, a meadow or a forest? Raise your cards for a meadow, otherwise a forest. For some reason, there are a lot of chairs in her box. She'll think about that later. She looks up out of the window in her box and she sees behind the curtain, beyond the trees, another window. And there's another woman. The woman is dressed in a trouser suit, all bright white, but also sports a bright blue scarf. She waves. She turns around. High up on the wall of her box there is a framed picture of a forest. It's designed to inspire people like her. She imagines walking into the forest. Which do you hear when you imagine tranquility? A bird singing or a stream burbling? Raise your card for a bird singing, otherwise a stream burbling. Tuning 70% complete. She's still asleep, dreaming. She continues to breathe. You feel your worries and niggles and anxieties take a deep sigh and slip into something more comfortable. What's her name? She who is like people like you. Picture her name like a tiny dream bubble in your mind. Let your mind slip into the bubble and let it get bigger and bigger and bigger until the bubble pops, leaving the name in her mind, which is... She speaks it aloud in her sleep. Louder. Only loud thoughts can wake her up.
Sarah!
Raise your card for Sarah, otherwise Jenny. She wakes up in her hotel room in Exeter. She opens her eyes. I'm Jenny, she speaks. Her device lies next to her on a pillow. It's burbling like a stream. You can open your eyes. She turns off the alarm. Her device breathes in deeply. She picks it up and turns on the stream. It's Monday, January the 29th, 2018. It's your friend Dan's birthday today. Will you want to wish him happy birthday? Raise a card for birthday, otherwise skip. Happy birthday, Dan. X. There's a picture of a cat in a forest. That's funny, thinks Jenny. I think I dreamt about a forest last night. Raise your card to like the picture, otherwise skip. Jenny is about to read an important side stream about the city and politics, but there's a buzz from Jim. Jim is angling to be Jenny's new squeeze. His relationship status is convoluted. Raise your card to buzz Jim, otherwise read about the city and politics. Jenny reads about the city and politics, quite decisively. Cities are the spaces where those without power get to make a history and a culture, thereby making their powerlessness complex. Does she continue to read about politics or skip to the choice? Raise the card to read about politics, otherwise skip to the choice. If the current large-scale buying continues, we will lose this type of making that has given our cities their cosmopolitanism. Does she continue to read about politics or skip to the choice? She skips to the choice. In next year's direct election, will you vote for Jeremy Corbyn or George Osborne? Raise your card for Corbyn, otherwise Osborne. Interesting. Time to get dressed. Jenny opens her wardrobe. Everything in there is bright white. Which items of bright white clothing catch her eye? A scarf. A skirt. Shoes.
A dress.
A dress. Jenny is torn between wearing the scarf or wearing the dress. Raise your card for scarf, otherwise dress. Luckily it's a very large scarf. How would you rate Tassos as your operator? Raise your card for 5-star, otherwise 4-star. Tassos are pretty sure that you meant to say 5-star. Jenny picks up a device. Time to travel to her assignment for the day. Time for a car. There are 2 cars she can choose. Mohammed is in a Prius. He's 4-star, but he's 4 minutes away. Ulrika is in a Cortina. She's 2-star, but she's only 1 minute away. Raise your card for Mohammed, otherwise Ulrika. Normally, Jenny is okay tomato, and today is no different. Jenny's device bloops. Her rider's here. Please get in, says Ulrika. Jenny's device buzz beeps. It's a buzz beep from headquarters. She will play first impressions to occupy her journey. 10 candidates follow. Jenny must select the best 3 before she reaches her final destination. Eduardo, 22, candid, hip-hop, Colombian. Raise your card to select, otherwise skip. Jobo, 19, forthright, bebop, London Celtic. Raise your card to select, otherwise skip. Robert Pattinson, 16, sensitive, emo, Syrian. Raise your card to select, otherwise skip. Florence, 51, authentic, psychedelic, Cornish. Raise your card to select, otherwise skip. Florence is selected. William, 33, bearded, new folk, southwest heartlands. Raise your card to select, otherwise skip. Afrina, 25, vibrant, garage, northwest heartlands. Raise your card to select, otherwise skip. Becca, 32, mercurial, country, southwest heartlands. Raise your card to select, otherwise skip. Becca is selected. Ulrika speaks to the intercom. So, how are you going to vote in next year's direct election? Does Jenny engage in conversation or continue playing first impressions? Raise your card to engage, otherwise play. Jenny decides to engage, but she doesn't know immediately what to say. Thoughts race through her mind. Which thoughts race through her mind? She's remembering kittens.
Forest. The shopping list. Breakfast. Don't expect 2 candidates to be in trouble. A really sexy bottom.
Does Jenny, Jenny thinks I could say, I'm thinking about my shopping list actually, or she could say, thinking about a kitten with a sexy bottom. Raise a card for shopping list, otherwise sexy bottom kitten. Tassos is already 5-star. Oh, we're here in Existential, says Ulrika. I hope your ride was to your satisfaction. How was your ride with Ulrika? Raise a card for 4-star, otherwise 3-star. Let's interrupt you there. It's interesting. There's a balance. Is that a stroke of chance, or are you organising yourselves to balance because you think that might cause some friction to our system? Raise the card for friction, otherwise chance. How very fortunate we are. Tuning the system 75% complete. Ulrika drives off. Jenny has only selected 2 candidates. Florence and Becca. She's feeling pretty white. Jenny crosses Queen Street. It's a buzz with hoverboards. The future always has hoverboards. The corporate retail zone built on the site of the former Harlequin shopping centre is fronted by company Micro. Behind, a concourse of the company headquarters. Its flagstones are grey, dark grey, alternating. They're slightly pixelated at the edges. There is a coffee stand. Does Jenny buy a coffee? Raise your card to buy a coffee, otherwise pause for a moment and see what happens. Jenny sits on a curved block of marble in a pile of blocks arranged so that people can sit without sitting next to each other. She looks about. There's a glass monorail running to the top floor of the financial advisors company. It lights up when there are people inside. Does Jenny buy a coffee? Raise your card to buy a coffee, otherwise pause for a moment and see what happens. Two of Jenny's local colleagues come out of reception and walk across the concourse. Jim walks to the coffee stand and Angel lights a cigarette. Who does Jenny follow? Does Jenny follow Jim or does she follow Angel? Raise a card for Jim, otherwise Angel. Angel looks puzzled. I didn't know you smoked, Jenny. Jenny says, I do now, or Jenny says, I don't, but I thought you'd like some company. Raise a card for I do now, otherwise I don't, but I thought you'd like some company. I don't, but I thought you'd like some company, says Jenny. Angel's a local colleague of Jenny's in the Exeter headquarters. They chat about work. Jenny enters the Exeter headquarters. In the foyer, people, all pilots of the company, come and go. Most of them, just like Jenny, are dressed in all in white, but some are wearing a little blue. A man sports a blue and white striped blazer. Jenny spots a woman she thinks she saw earlier, a blue scarf wrapped around her neck. The crowd in white seem to part to let these blues by. A young girl in a white onesie runs through screaming. I'll let you in on a secret, says the receptionist, whose name badge reads Tassos. That little devil is Belinda. She's been played by a class of 8-year-olds in Crediton. Their data is so deliciously indeterminate. You're Studio TS1 at the University of Exeter, right? Raise your cards to nod and smile conspiratorially, otherwise shrug confusedly. The receptionist calls Jenny over. Her name badge reads Gloria. Jenny, that's Gloria. Your assignment awaits. Here's your pass, and take the lift to the 14th floor. Jenny walks towards the gate and waves her pass, but the security guard, instead of motioning her through, signals for her to stop. Does Jenny walk straight through or does she stop? Raise your card to walk straight through, otherwise stop. Jenny carries on walking. The guard blocks her with her body. You need to stop, miss. He gestures to someone behind her, a woman in a bright blue dress. She grimaces and walks past Jenny. She's a full blue, miss, explains the guard to Jenny. Practically azure, she has privileges. The full blue steps into a lift, the doors close. The guard motions Jenny through the gate. Jenny stands in the lift. She breathes in and reflects on her morning. She closes her eyes. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Should she have continued to play first impressions rather than engaging with her driver? Raise your cards for play, otherwise engaged. If your card is raised, please keep it raised quite high. And your eyes closed. For those of you with your cards raised, should you have made a more professional choice of clothes? Keep your card raised for yes, otherwise no. For those of you with your cards raised, your cards will now become blue cards. Keep your cards raised until your card is blue. Everyone open your eyes. Jenny opens her eyes. She's wearing a sapphire brooch. The lift doors open. She walks into reception. There's a wooden door to the left. There's a chrome door straight ahead. There's a table with a selection of magazines. There's a water cooler. What does Jenny want to do? She speaks her thoughts out loud.
Go through the door, the wooden door. Drink some water.
Go through the wooden door, drink some water.
Reading magazine.
Jenny thinks about the choices she's just made and touches the brooch. This feels good, if this is what a little blue feels like. She tries the wooden door, but it leads into a cleaning cupboard. She drinks some water from the water fountain. She thinks about smashing the water cooler, but it appears to be fixed to the floor. She looks at the magazines. She has a choice to read either Wired magazine or the Exeter Express and Echo. Does she pick up Wired magazine or the Exeter Express and Echo? Raise your card for Wired, otherwise Express and Echo. Jenny picks up the Exeter Express and Echo. She reads. We might imagine that the choices which Jenny makes are important choices, that it matters whether she chooses to drink coffee or to smoke a cigarette. That the story of Jenny is an important story, but that's not the interest of the company in telling the story. Jenny pauses. This is not what she would expect from the Exeter Express and Echo. There's a ping, and the chrome door swings open. Jenny gets up and walks through the door. She's in a conference room. Angel stands up to welcome her. Hi Jenny, good to see you again. What does Jenny think to say? She speaks her thoughts out loud.
What are you doing here?
Alright.
I didn't know you spoke.
Raise your card for how do you get up here so fast? Otherwise, Howie. How did you get up here so fast? Asked Jenny. Angel makes a nervous laugh. I took the lift. But I'm really delighted that it's you come to hear my plans for the future of Exeter, says Angel. I thought it would be some corporate drone from the Heartlands. But the thing about you, Jenny, everyone says you've really got a mind of your own. Lovely brooch, by the way. Jenny's device buzz beeps. Does she check it or leave it for now? Raise your card to check it, otherwise leave it for now. Angel launches into a pitch. The challenge for the company, as I see it, is this. We want to scale up our systems to run more and more of the services in every town and city across the UK, plugging seamlessly into our globalised systems, becoming truly effective without losing the distinctiveness and personalisation, the choice that people truly want. Jenny's device beep buzzes. That's a message from headquarters. Does she check it or leave it for now? Raise your card to leave it for now, otherwise check it. Frisky. It's a message from headquarters. Your assignment is to tell Angel that we are letting her go. Angel continues. We make an assessment system, it runs as a game. Up to 100 local residents and transients can be assessed as potential pilots each time. The game assesses their suitability to become pilots for local companies and services. At the heart of the game is a character, let's call her Bella, who they are all simultaneously playing. Jenny thinks about cutting her off, it will make the decision easier. Raise your cards to let her continue, otherwise cut her off. The players are making choices for Bella, Angel continues. And through the choices they make, as well as seeing which of them may prove best pilots and protectors of the local qualities which make Exeter the special place it is now, we can also tune the changes in the city's metrics and landscapes which will enable the future of Exeter to be even specialer. She won't be called Bella, they'll choose her own name for her. I mean, there's no easier way to give people a sense of agency than their album to fucking name something. Let me cut you off there, says Jenny. The company didn't assign me to hear your pitch. I'm here, regretfully, to let you go. What, says Angel. Her face is pale. I can't lose this job now. What does Jenny think to say?
Let it go.
Yeah.
Sorry. Why not?
Does Jenny asked, why not now? Or sing, let it go. Raise your card to ask why not now, otherwise let it go. Why not now? Asked Jenny. My mother's ill, I don't have a chance to move into her home, and I can only do all I like with the company, says Angela. Jenny wonders, can she really do this? Does she throw her device down saying, I can't do this, or say to Angela, I'm sorry, but we really have to let you go? Raise her card to throw it down, otherwise let her go. White out. Everything whites out. Everything is blinding white, but with a small patch of pale blue sky like a sapphire. Tuning system 100% complete. Jenny version 2.0 is ready. She is dreaming, or is she still awake? A unicorn trots into the white room. Well, that settles that. But even in dreams, choices still matter. The unicorn rips through the white with its horn, as if it were tissue paper. The rip reveals two doors, one door of a rich blue, the other door of a simple white. A powerful blue or a humble white. Which door will Jenny take as she steps into the future? Raise your card for a rich blue, otherwise a simple white. I don't know if you can hear me when I'm off air, but this choice really matters. And you might want to think about it and talk about it even. I'll give you a few minutes before I get into trouble. There's no way for choice and power inside the system without embracing it, but also there are consequences that you don't know that will happen to you because of your choice in Exeter and far away. It's up to you. As I said, a few minutes is all I can spare.
Is it a bit like by all accounts Tory and destroyed.
The rip reveals two doors, one door of a rich blue, the other door of a simple white. A powerful blue or a humble white. Which door will Jenny take as she steps into the future? Raise your card for the rich blue, Otherwise, the simple wait. Jenny opens the blue door. She wakes up. She wakes up in a hotel room in Exeter. She opens her eyes. Like Jenny, she speaks. Her device is burning like a stream. She turns off the alarm. Her device breathes in deeply. She picks it up and turns on the stream. It's Monday, January the 30th, 2023.
Talk a little bit about the making of the work first of all, and then we'll open the floor to any questions from you guys.
Not really sort of to talk in great depth about very much questions, but just to sort of place what you just sort of experienced in kind of context of the kind of the development. So this is, I call it a sketch actually, rather than a scratch, because there's an implication of scratch that this would somehow be like a incomplete but most insane if unpolished version of the finished piece, which this is not. For one thing, they're a good performers in it. I'm here because that's all that Coney could afford, and also because I could write. I'm just kind of writing this over the last couple of days, so it's just kind of I'm sort of immediate and I don't complain. I'm given the script at the last minute, that's true mostly, and it's so. But this was but sort of kind of written in order to kind of like explore a couple of new ideas, specific ideas. And within this is also kind of within a piece that we were doing, started development in January 2014, and did like a lot of different sketches, and then did a scratch of sort of kind of version 1, which like at the end of 2014, which it's got some similarities in terms of kind of the world of the piece, but we kind of stopped that there, and I think it was off for about 11 months, and picked it up again recently, to developing it towards like in April. It'll be sort of already at Camp People's Theatre, having gone to Theatre in the Mill for some sort of some more sort of R&D, and I'll start writing it properly sort of February and March. And we did like a couple of days R&D with the performers and the sound designer, who will also be sort of playing it, and sort of much more kind of musical responsible to what's happening. A couple of weekends ago, which really sort of kind of opened out the world of it and kind of unpacked that. So this gives you probably some sense of the world that it's in. And there were specific questions around really about the white and blue. I mean, I wanted to kind of give that choice at the end in some way, whether I could make that choice and whether there would be kind of an interesting discussion, even just for a few minutes, with kind of how that would play. I sort of didn't anticipate that it would. I suppose it wouldn't always happen between small groups, but that obviously makes sense as well. You just talk to people that are near you. That's interesting. And then also whether kind of white and blue as kind of like a visual, sort of imaginative realisation of like sort of different levels of power that might be possible inside the world, whether that would play. Because one thing for sure is that Jenny's world, or whatever she's called, will never be sort of like physically realised or visually realised. All you will ever see is the world of the operators. You'll hear the world, and it's kind of through both the operators and like and call centre operatives. They've got scripts on devices which they can they read, and sort of when it goes off air, they can chat sort of between themselves, sort of in sort of more ad hoc banter, and that's sort of so you hear it in what you see. And they can't really see you, but it's because of la.
Do we have any questions?
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, we'll go here.
Is there any consequence to the fact that we have blue cards and white cards?
The fact that I suppose it's good that you asked the question because that shows that it wasn't clear. because you've got a little bit of blue, meant she was wearing a sapphire brooch, which meant that for at least a little bit the choices opened up a bit more. So it wasn't just the kind of prescriptive binary. She was in a room and there were things she could decide what to do. And there might be more. That's kind of as far as I got in writing it yesterday.
I might ask you a question.
Sure.
I really like this moving and down with the arms and the slight different colours, and I thought I don't know, there's more there that you could show them.
Yeah, we played a lot with, over kind of the course of different sketches with what, I've always been fairly clear that, although this was a practical thing and there's kind of huge, the piece since 2014 went through massive simplification, in part sort of dramaturgical, without losing some layers and clarifying and sharpening mistakes, but also through pattern constraints of the budget that we've got to make it is about a fifth of what we hoped, and it also needs to be able to travel flexibly and play any space. So it's kind of embracing those, making a virtue of them. Any questions and more technology kind of way out the window, but I also really like the fact that this is kind of an embodied action, and this is the only thing people need to do, and you don't even need to do that, because if you don't do it, that still counts, you're still in it. Part of the sort of starting point as well is the fact that not what could be sort of a piece about where inaction would be meaningful, and whether that would be more open to audiences who are terrified at the thought of what interactive theatre means.
Have you thought about how the actor getting to hold up bits of paper encourages them to perform their own choices or other men's choices?
In as much as you're kind of public. Yeah, so, there's a line of stuff that we briefly picked up that I might going to go back to, but certainly there's kind of thing about when you close your eyes, that the fact that those are sort of there's a very different quality to that, and that might sort of feel sort of more immediate. And yes, there's more complexity in actually what this means, because in terms of the systems of modelling them, you're not actually kind of collective, you're individuals that aggregate together, and more complex than that.
I just had a question, because I thought it was really lovely when you're coming forward and you're looking at a kind of distance, so it feels like there's another space going on with a clap. But I wondered, did you make a choice as to when you were coming forward and saying, I'm going off script here for a moment, and you didn't look at us at all?
I can't see you.
Oh, you can, but you're still looking in the distance.
That was just to make it easier
yeah.
for me as a sort of not very good and under-rehearsed performer. There's actually a camera there, so it was easy for me just to look at that, just practically.
And for a public audience, are you going to have an audience who's in front of you, or is it going to be only on camera or digitized?
Oh, no, it's supposed to be live.
Yeah, so for me, as an audience member, I got confused as to whether you were talking to me or talking to somebody else at that moment, yeah. Because you were addressing this thing.
That's a great note that
so just wondering.
in rehearsal about performing would pick that up.
I'd love to see more of that staged options where some of us made a choice that maybe within the structure is deemed more important, and then you were keep your hand up, and then that second stage, it was maybe create a hierarchy within that. It'd be great if there's a way that can actually be concreted, so that maybe they become the people that instigate the conversation in the blue and white. So we wish to become the leaders of the group.
So there was a previous version where, actually it was Scratch, where those who had their cards up became another character called Rena and sat in seats on the stage. And then it was kind of a contest between Rena and Sally, as she was called. And there's something interesting, I think, in being able to sort of see other people do that at the same time, and potentially kind of contest. But and that may very well be sort of the kind of the finished piece, but just for the purposes of today, I wanted to test the white-blue thing like that, so just cut that out.
But either way, that standard choice is great.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that.
interested in the kind of like not like the improvised moments like where we would shout out suggestions and you would kind of collate them and like give them back to us.
I was entirely scripted.
So like when we shout it out, it's not scripted.
Yeah, there's plans.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No, I'm just wondering how far you are going to let you could let that go. Like you were talking about like having like maybe two operating systems like interacting with each other outside of live space. Like,
people, but yes, kind of as far as it, I mean, within the rules of the world, like within like how the world is kind of modeled, so that we only just going to, it was only at the end of the R&D with them that we sort of kind of worked out that they can't see you, you can't see them actually, like in the kind of reality of the fiction. Of course we can, but it just being through sound then sort of kind of makes that sort of kind of clearer to play. And then it will be, we'll just sort of develop that within the world. But I really want them to be able to play. That there will be, we're just going to call them X and Y. And in terms of roles, they'll have their real names. But there's going to be sort of a third performer trained as well, because one performance can't do the first week, and then there'll be 2 out of 3 for the kind of ongoing run. And each will be able to play either X or Y, and X, those will be distinguished, so they'll have different attitudes towards how far they want to get on inside the company, how positive or cynical they are about the kind of human nature, whether they're a veteran or whether they're a novice to the game, so that then just makes more dynamic between them. And in as much within the rules of the world, there'll be sounds that can sort of basically threaten the sack, which they will know. So, but I want them to play within the structures. And the more that they are playing, if that feels right to them, and we can use the system to bring it back how it's meant to go, all the better. So there should be that liveness.
I know you feel was a scratch, but are you intending to have such an abrupt ending, or will there be a sense of closure at the
Are you saying there wasn't a sense of closure? It's been an hour working on it. No, I ran out of time. But, that's just But there'll be something that happens. There's going to be 3. That was kind of equivalent of Act 1. There would be 3 acts in 2018, 2023, and 2019, so that we can make the world end if we want. So that's how it might end with the world ending. And kind of the water's rising, and other things to do with the way that we make choices.
I wondered if you'd made experiments with where people were sat in relationship to you, and how that might affect the voting procedure and our discussion.
That's really interesting. Do you think there might be a front row, back row classroom thing going on?
Possibly, but also then when we have our discussion, as you said, we spoke to each other next to us. If we were seated in a circle, it might have opened up more of a discussion between us.
Interesting.
Yeah. There's also something really interesting, because I didn't close my eyes, just because I don't like closing my eyes. And
Frisky.
yeah, exactly. And it's interesting to see how your vote, other people's votes influence things that you're thinking. So I was kind of wondering about that, but I was also wondering about the play between the system and the 2 performers that you've got running the system, and whether there will be opportunities for us as the system to be aggregated in ways that disrupt their behaviour without them being able to control that. Whether the system pushes back on the operator?
Yeah, exactly. Well, you're not the system. We are all the system.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. That something happens here at an aggregate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got one at the back and then 2, and then.
Kind of similar question, whether we as the audience can be disobedient towards you if we have a exact 50-50 vote, whether that cancels it out or whether there's something.
And how do you know?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the question, whether they actually count or not.
Yeah, I think actually the count, this is kind of a practical answer, but it's kind of an important one. It's important how it plays. the count and all this will be done by the sound operator, whose role is the cable guy, and he's kind of really in the ring with you within the reality of the fiction. So he will do the count, and he will, and then he calls it in terms of which sound. So the performers are making that decision, which is really important for them in order to be able to play it. And I think there could be something interesting. I was curious to see whether, having given you the hint that a balance could cause friction, whether that potentially you might kind of conspire towards that. But the thing is, we will keep developing contingencies, and the script will be a lot more modular than it is now. And in terms of okay, they're doing that, then we'll kind of we'll flip it into the point where they're trying to turn over the system, and then the system will fight back, and then maybe the show will end at that point.
And just a similar point going back to the seating, I feel I would be more engaging to be sat behind you, because we are you and you are us. So if we were behind you looking out at the same fixed point, I think that could put an interesting dynamic on it.
Yeah, I think I sort of want, probably practically, and we're sort of happy to be guided by practicals. I think I'm interested in the audience being able to see each other, or at least some, and other than that, I think it needs to be sort of pretty flexible, because we won't be able to, anything that, other than that, anything that kind of relies on a particular thing will be I've just been told by Coney's producer, who is God, you need to make it work like this, so I'm making it work like this. Very interesting point.
I found it really good. Can I ask the audience a question?
Yeah,
Does anyone not trust Tessos? Yeah. Who didn't trust Tessos? Everyone. I really trusted you, and then I sort of what I'm interested in is the idea of the stake, and I like you. As a performer, I found you quite engaging, and I liked you as a person. And I find that for me, the stake is you letting us down, or I expected at any point for you to turn on us. And I just wondered if there is almost an agenda to that persona of warmth and humour and that kind of dryness that makes it kind of
or a job to be in jeopardy.
Yes.
Yeah, there'll be that for sure, and it's just again thank you Jill, being my agent. With better performers, and with two of them, it also means they can play where they are much more easier. I have played. I think in the last scratch there was a point where I appeared to be unscripted, but actually that was kind of another little test. But that, the audience then just instantly didn't trust me.
Jo, did you still have a question?
It's more an observation really, and it kind of relates to what you were saying about it being. So it's important that it's visible, that we all see the choices that we're making, because it becomes very much about the repercussions of choices that you make, and our responsibility in that. Is it important that we all see, or have you tried playing with it where we don't see, like in if you do marketing for that kind of thing where you all vote on something and it's entirely visible, nobody knows when they press the red button which button is being pressed, so you don't know what your peers are, what choices they're making, and so whereas this we can see who becomes a blue card and who becomes a white card and who is making sure that it becomes part of the playfulness. And we can play playful games with that as well, and it's a visible thing.
Yeah, I sort of want it, constrained by practicality, that this is, only visible systems like this are kind of something we can afford. I think I'm still interested in the kind of the playful possibilities of that, and the kind of the different kind of influences that are in play there. And there is also potentially a sort of, there may be a sort of kind of a tilt in sort of the second act where you sort of think that the story matters, and that it's the choices, the way that Jenny goes, which is kind of also determining what the company's getting. When actually it doesn't give a shit about that. That's just an illusion because we like stories. Like, actually, it's just about you as individuals and the patterns, the streams of choices that you make. That it's learning about people, like, and what they will do. And then there'll be another tilt, like in terms of actually knowing what its agenda in doing that is revealed.
Yeah, because there is there's also because there's something about that visibility and us having a safe space to do that. As opposed, it's a bit like everybody being angry that the Tories got in, but who voted for them? You know, it kind of, maybe it just depends who your stream is on Facebook and who your friends are. But there's that real sense of people not owning up to stuff, not taking responsibility for stuff, and being. So there's something in there. And also, I think this is I was just thinking this would be a great lecturing device. You know, who wants me to now talk about this? Who wants us to talk about this? Because it goes back to what you were saying about the round circle thing, or any practical way in which is much more hands-on and tactile, and we're all in this together, as opposed to the lecturing setup, which is a bit more Big Brother. And now people make choices about what I thought about.
Exactly. I really like your question to the audience. I would like to ask the audience briefly too. How did you feel when your choice wasn't the winning choice? Like with the meadow and the forest and all that. If you want to chat more about that outside, we can. But I'm interested.
Well, when the person next to you got a blue card.
Was it actually that's because that was do other people feel a little bit? Anybody else feel that?
I think they voted Tory.
Because when I've been to one of the I felt quite disenfranchised when none of the choices were living up. And I'm like, I'm not Sally. I don't identify with her at all. But this time, for some reason, the choices matched up more, and I started putting a lot more disorder.
I was actually quite happy when I didn't receive the blue card.
I think what the effect blue card was, that was my only issue.
Like if you got a blue card and got 2 votes, so
that's
why I wanted the blue card.
Because I was like, oh.
It was kind of ignored afterwards.
Yeah, there was nothing for the individual, like just simply because that was not what I wanted to test today. But it gives more options to the avatar, so to speak.
Yeah. I immediately thought you gave the cards because you were conscious you were lecturers at a conference at a uni. So I wondered if you thought about the pedagogical use. This is, I don't know if any other lecturers here would call this a low-tech clicker. So I've used these in class before to say, you know, do you read the play this way or do you read the play that way? But my choice as a lecturer is because I want the students to stay a bit more alert. And then the other option would be to vote with your feet, where you have to get up and the Cherry Orchard is a comedy is in that side of the room, and Cherry Orchard is a tragedy is that side, and you can be in the spectrum. So I just wonder how much you're thinking about not just setting up the structure with this kind of device, but in literally keeping the audience, like I was on, you know, upright in my seat, ready to get my hand up. So are you thinking about that? And are you thinking about the potential of a spectrum of answers or just categories?
No, yes. But it's also, it's interesting because, it's cards because I initially wanted what's the simplest practical visible way of solve that design problem in the same way that probably lecturers have done it as well.
Did you find us though at any point like physically did we look less present and engaged at any point?
To be honest, I was more trying to say that not chip over the scripts to see what I'm saying.
Can I respond just thinking about my own experience as an audience? I found it quite different from the example that you gave because I didn't really care very much about all the choices. But I felt like the stakes were really high and I didn't know why. And that gave me this kind of unease where it wasn't simply I want to know what you think, but this sense of what is happening when I do this and not really understanding what the ramifications that you're mentioned might be. There wasn't a question, but just a response.
I'm really interested in the idea of like friction. Like every so often I just wanted to vote the other way because I knew it would mess everything up. So do you think you might, I don't know, create pitfalls for that or to explore that a bit?
Definitely.
Yeah,
because I'm aware this is not a piece that gives much creative scope to the audience. Like, but it's kind of, the idea is that more that the play that happens in the imagination anyway. But like, what else can happen in the room? Just maybe wrap up for people.
We've got 2 more questions then, and I think we'll hold it there. Yeah.
Thank you.
Just leading from this idea about the blue cards, some people thought they were going to give them an extra vote or a little more power. Is that something that you're going to experiment with? Because the idea of a group of people becoming somehow more influential and then other people using a group vote to overweigh them would be quite an interesting thing to play with.
Yeah, no, we looked at it a little bit before, but it will certainly come back. Because it feels that ultimately it's about meaningful agency inside systems which are often choice, right? So and what's kind of at play inside that. So yes, we should.
Yeah, this is kind of more of a provocation and a comment on it than a question. But basically, I just felt like the initial idea had a lot of pleasure, but I felt like you didn't develop. I mean, it felt like the questions didn't have more stakes as it went along. And it just felt like eventually I was just automatically playing with the card. So this idea of a journey you're taking your audience through, can you make the stakes higher? Can you change it so that we don't just have the same thing again, but we actually care about what's happening and question our own values with it? And again, the same thing with the blue card. It's like, as an idea, great, but then you didn't actually change anything after that. So where is it going? What's the point of it, right? So the more you can kind of build the stakes of what you're doing and make things change a bit, the more I'll care about whether I'm raising my card or not and what kind of value I have.
But that's the experience that you had.
No, I know, but this is all I'm saying. But it's just like in terms of difference. No question.
And also, I mean, of course, the sort of like having, it's also just going to reflect just kind of where this is in the process.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
And it's also like
to
try stuff out.
Yeah.
Like,
and didn't you say that we either destroy the world or we don't? That's where it's going.
Yeah,
so we made that choice. If you didn't choose the Prius, then you're already making that choice.
But it is. I mean, ultimately, the stakes will be good. The stakes will count if I write it well. Like, which I've no. All of this material may well just be thrown away, to be honest. So it's...
What a wonderful place. Thank you very much. I'm just conscious that we do have to move on, but there's so much we can continue to talk about over dinner for those of us who are joining, and all of tomorrow. So let's those of us who are going for dinner, we've got about just over 5 minutes, and we'll meet in the foyer to meet in the restaurant. Tomorrow we'll be here from 9 with teas and coffee. Ed's installation will be open in the morning as well as in the lunch hour if you want to take a look at her work in a quieter, pre-conference time. And then we'll kick off at 9:30 with our Wonderful. Thank you very much. See you
Now I'm going to have a Christmas cake like it.
Yesterday, and we went to dinner. Unfortunately not. Oh yeah. But tomorrow I do all day. So hopefully, so I'll be with if it's obvious, then we won't get lost. In the back of your
there's just so much, you know.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I'm honestly is that all right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
No, you're right. Yeah. Yeah, it'll take you to literally the centre. Okay, cool. We're on the cathedral campus right here. Yeah, no, there's stuff around.
Yes, that's the thing. So,
I'm in the right? I'll write it down.
no, I didn't know. It's It's on my bike. So even if it's on the main road, you go right. I am coming to dinner, so then I'll probably so you'll watch it and that's yeah. And then there's I can go up to the main road. I'll give you all. And it's just on the left side. Yeah, I'll make it right. You have to carry on. Yeah. You're very welcome.